there, I'm HE, speaker, coach, and entrepreneur. I'm also a wife and mom to the Seans, my brilliant hubby, Sean Sr., and my vivacious toddler, Sean Jr. I am a perpetual student to this thing called life, and boy, has life taught me some lessons. What I absolutely love is helping you to identify and debunk the limiting beliefs that cause you to hide from your awesomeness. It's time to reprogram your thinking. So settle in, get comfy, and let's girl talk. Just you and me. This is the I Am HE podcast. It's not what you look at, it's what you see. Henry David Thoreau. The beginning of a new year for a lot of people marks a time of self-reflection, of goals, of resolutions, of new beginnings, of a fresh perspective. However, with that can come like this unspoken pressure of having to have it all together, have all your goals in line, have everything you want to do for the year lined up, have your word for the year, your theme for the year, to just have it in order, like on January 1. And that's not possible for everyone. Everyone's life is different. Different things are happening. People are experiencing different things in their life, different seasons of life. And contrary to popular belief, there's no pressure to do all the things by a certain time. I remember at the beginning of, I think it was 2019. Yeah, 2019. This was back when I was doing the podcast Behind This Woman with my best friend Tamika. And that podcast is still up. We no longer record episodes, but there are 2 full seasons there. If you want to go back and listen to it, shameless plug, just Google or just put in Behind This Woman. You can Google it too. It'll take you to our website. We have a very beautiful website. But anyways, back when I was doing the podcast Behind This Woman, and I remember we were doing like a, welcome to the new year episode. And we had taken a little break over the holidays. And I just remember we were just kind of interviewing each other and asking how the new year was going for us. Do we have any goals or resolutions or anything that we wanted to accomplish? And I remember, and if you go back and listen to that episode, the end of 2018 and really the half of 2019 was really, really challenging for me. And I was so lost. I was going to try to find a different word, but it is what it is. I was so lost at the beginning of 2019. So much had happened, and I was just in the middle of a storm of life. And I just remember thinking 2018 and 2019 are just a big blur to me. To me, it didn't feel like a new year. It just felt like a continuation of the last quarter of 2018. And I remember telling her during that episode, I don't know what I'm doing. I was no resolutions. I don't have any goals. I don't have anything for you. I just don't have anything. I am here. I am alive. I am breathing. I'm just here right now. I am here. And I just want to tell you that, yes, today we're going to be talking about how to gain a fresh perspective. But if you are at that place where, let's just be honest, if 2020 kicked your rear and maybe the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021 is just a big blur to you, or maybe it's all just meshing together, that's okay. Whatever pressure you feel about having it together because it's the beginning of the year, it's the first quarter of the year, and, coming off of a year like 2020 for a lot of people was just really hard. So it's this pressure of, okay, we have to start fresh right now. And if you don't, you're going to miss the train. I want to remove that stigma. That is a fallacy, okay? If you are just barely surviving right now and you're just happy to be able to listen to me speak, you're doing a good job and you are fine. And whatever pressure you felt or that you have put on yourself, I want you to remove that right now. Remove it. Release it. Because a new year for you could be at the beginning of the second quarter. It could be at the beginning of the third quarter. It could be on your birthday. It could be next year. right? There are different seasons in life, and we're not always so vibrant and cheery and, goal setting and all the things. Sometimes we're just like, okay, I'm just happy I'm here today. So if that's you and maybe you feel behind, I don't want this episode to trigger you by any means, but I am going to be talking about ways to gain a fresh perspective, not just for the new year, but in life. Like whenever you need a fresh perspective, it could be on a random Wednesday and you need a fresh perspective. That is what I'm going to be talking about today. So with all that said, we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, the first way to gain a fresh perspective, whenever you choose to do so, is with gratitude. Now, this is a game changer. Gratitude used to be one of those trendy terms that I didn't think held any weight, but I was completely wrong. Now, if you want to completely change your world, learn how to intentionally express gratitude. In fact, I did an entire episode explaining the science behind gratitude and how it can literally change your brain, which then in turn changes your mind, which then will allow you to manifest tangible changes in your life. It's pretty incredible. I want you to check that out. I'm not going to go over all the details because I got pretty detailed in that episode, so I don't want to regurgitate information, but you can go check it out. Episode 34, titled How to Craft Your Life. That's number one. Number two, the second way to gain a fresh perspective is rest. Okay? I know that may seem like the forbidden thing to do. We should be hustling. We shouldn't be resting. But in a time where hustle and bustle and, sleep when you die is glorified, many are realizing that mindset has caused more harm than good. Studies show that taking time off actually improves your focus and it alleviates burnout. Resting and implementing routine mental resets dramatically reduces the changes of anxiety. We're taught to constantly push ourselves, and yes, there's a place for this, because in some instances, if we don't push ourselves, we have a tendency to give up and never see our full potential. However, there is a such thing as pushing yourself in unhealthy ways. And according to Inc.com, scientific evidence explains that when you push yourself through too many hours or days of work, your brain starts to push back. Ideas that once flowed easily dry up, and tasks that you should be able to perform quickly become excruciatingly difficult. You may feel tempted to scold yourself, to buckle down and work harder, but that's completely counterproductive. You need to give your brain and yourself some rest. Rest, rest, rest. So if this is true of work hours, can you imagine how this translates in everyday task of life? Consider that one of the reasons why you're yearning for a fresh perspective is because your life is in overdrive and you haven't properly rested. And I am training for a 5K. I've talked about this. I've talked about this in probably 5 episodes at this point. It's a really big deal. Okay, big deal. For me, big deal. First 5K ever in my whole entire life. Okay, so I do strength and resistance training 2 times a week. And one of the reasons, I may have explained this already, but one of the reasons is because I have not ran or really been athletic in many years. I'm a former athlete from many years ago, and I just did not stay active. So my body is having to readjust to being so active and running and all the things. And in the past, when I have attempted to train for this 5K, my body would give out on me. It just would. I threw out a part of my back and my neck, and my chiropractor was able to fix it immediately. But it's just, I was in so much pain, and my knees would start hurting, all this crazy stuff. And I do this really heavy strength training twice a week. And I remember talking to one of the trainers, and I'm doing it to sustain myself so that my body is able to be supported. But nonetheless, I remember talking to a trainer and I'm like, okay, I'm only doing this twice a week. This does not seem like enough. Are you sure I don't need to be doing this more? Because what I'm doing now, I'm doing 2 times a week, my strength and resistance training, and then I'm doing 3 times a week, my 5K training, and then allowing my body to do nothing on 2 days of the week. And I remember asking him, you don't think I should be doing more strength training? Are you sure? And he was explaining to me the importance and the power of resting. And so I went on vacation with some friends back in December to Tulum. It was an amazing trip, but nonetheless, we were gone for like a week or something like that. And I did not do any kind of strength training or resistance in nothing. Okay. I did nothing. Like we had goals and me and one of my friends, we was like, okay, we're going to go, we're going to, run and still do some training and things like that. Nothing. Those sneakers did not touch the ground. Like we did nothing but veg out. But when I got back and I started back training, I was so much stronger. And he was explaining to me, he said, people think when they go on vacation that the worst thing you can do is like not exercise or not, lift weights or things like that. He said, but that rest actually helps to build your muscles back up and helps to rejuvenate you. And when I got back from my vacation, I was so afraid that I was going to be so weak and it was going to be so tough. But that rest, that mental rest, that physical rest, like that allowed my body to like build up strength. And I came back and I was so much stronger. And I was so surprised. And he was like, rest is the best thing you can do when you're training your body for anything. So I just wanted to explain that to connect it with the rest of resting your brain from task at work, task at home, just things you're trying to do and accomplish, these big goals that you have in your mind or that you're actively working on, and these action steps and all the things you want to accomplish, that sometimes you need to rest. And that's even true in your body. So that is why number 2, rest is so important. Which leads me to the third way to gain a fresh perspective, since I just talked about it, is traveling. So years ago, my husband and I decided that traveling isn't a luxury. A lot of people think, oh my God, you're traveling. You must have a ton of money, or you must, have all this free time, or you must be super special. And it's like, traveling isn't a luxury for us. It's a self-care and educational necessity. It is a self-care and educational necessity. And the reason why I say self-care is because sometimes you just need to get away to a different environment to rest and recharge. And research shows that taking vacations, especially if you travel to a different environment, has solid brain benefits that should be replenished often. Now, I realize that because of the pandemic, travel is different these days. It's not the same. However, I find that there are people who fall into different camps during this time. Like my friends and I, we decided to go on a trip, and I'm going to tell you something. And there may be people who disagree and say you shouldn't go anywhere. And, I'm going to respect your opinion like I would hope you would respect mine. But let me tell you, okay, we were not on an empty plane. I'm just going to say that. The airport wasn't bare. And Mexico wasn't empty. That's all I'm saying. But there are people who fall into different types of camps. So either you're uncomfortable traveling, you prefer to stay home, which is fine. I'm talking about like in reference to the pandemic and travel. You still travel with caution, which that was us. We totally made sure we had our mask on, and like when we got in the car with our driver, when they picked us up from the airport, they sanitized our hands and sprayed the bottom of our shoes down and just made sure everything, checked our temperature and, things of that nature. So we traveled with caution and care. Or you could be in the camp where you were completely unbothered by what's going on and you're continuing your adventures with no problem. And whichever camp you fall in, again, there's no judgment. However, I'll just say that whenever you do travel, make sure that you're truly unplugging and unwinding so that you can get the true benefits of getting away. So if you're not comfortable traveling right now through the pandemic, and you think it's going to make you anxious and scared and fearful and all that stuff, it really is, you probably should just stay home. But if you're really down to get away and just really enjoy yourself and kind of relax, then by all means, take advantage. Your brain, your mind, your spirit, your body, and most likely even your family will thank you because you come back so much better. You come back happier. You've released so much endorphins. Like I talked about in the other podcast episode, that was my first vacation without my son. So after I got over the emotion of not being with my little one, then it was like, it took me a couple days to get used to the fact that, okay, I can go to bed at any time I want. I can sleep in if I want to. I don't have to worry about like any aspect of motherhood while I'm here, which was a little weird at first. Not gonna lie, it was a little weird, a little strange. Took me a minute to get out of that mode. But once I was out of it, I was like, oh, honey, yes. Like, this is what life used to be like without having a kiddo. And I'm thankful for my child and love him. He's a complete blessing. But sometimes you need to just get away. You really do. So it was so wonderful for me. It was wonderful for my friends, my husband, and my son. They were so happy to see me when I got back. And it was just like a renewing and a refreshing in the family just by me being able to get away and release just some stress and some tension and task. You know what I mean? So that was exciting. And also the reason why I say travel is an educational necessity is because it's very important for us to learn about different cultures. Like whenever we go somewhere, we immerse ourselves with the people. Of course, you have to use wisdom and you want to be safe, but we make it our business to get out of the resort if we stay in a resort. Sometimes we don't. But if we stay in like a resort touristy area, we make it our business to get out of the resort and be with the people. Like you never know how narrow-minded you are when it comes to other cultures until you're truly with them. And I remember when we were in Mexico, and I've mentioned that I am learning Spanish right now. My goal is to be fluent in Spanish. And so every time we would go out, we would go to different places and the cab would get us or the driver, whoever would come and get us, I would make sure to sit in the front seat. 2 reasons. Number 1, I'm tall. So I have long legs and it's more comfortable for, the taller person to sit in the front and my friends are shorter than me. But the second reason was because I wanted to sit in the front and like talk Spanish. And I would tell the drivers, I would, speak the Spanish I knew and let them know I'm learning. So I'm like, okay, teach me. So like every time we would go somewhere, that was like a Spanish lesson for me. And I was so excited. And it's funny because my friends were in the back and they were like in their own world talking and whatever. Like me and the driver are just like kicking it. Like we're like we were friends for years. And I love learning because of course, if you know anything about learning a foreign language, it's great to learn on your apps and, whatever way you're learning in the classroom. But the best way is speaking to a native speaker. And so I remember we went to a store to pick up, it was a little corner grocery store to pick up some produce. And I was sitting in the front seat and we're at a light. And it was a driver next to me, a cab driver. And he was kind of looking at me, I guess, wondering what I was doing in the front seat. And so I'm sorry to be so giggly. So I just look at him. I'm like, hola, ¿cómo estás? And my friend was like, Aichi, like you were in the front seat, like speaking with your window down, like speaking to people like you live here. Like if I didn't know any better, I would have thought you were a native. But I love just being amongst the people and just connecting with the culture. And again, it's especially, I'm American and sometimes we have a difficult time connecting with people just from different cultures. We just do. Like, I can say that, sometimes we do. And I make it my business to be really intentional wherever I go. Like, every place I've visited around the world, I really want to connect with the people of that particular country and that nation. So, and it has broadened my horizons. Traveling, that's what traveling does. It broadens your horizons. It adds substance and length to your conversations. And to connect with people who are not like you, who don't speak the same language as you, who have a different background, who have a different religion. You think about all these differences. But when you really connect with people, you realize you're all the same. Like, you may live in a different place and you may have landed in a different place when you came to Earth, but we're all the same. We have differences, but the core of us, we're all the same. Like I was talking to the cab driver in Mexico and we're like showing each other pictures of our kiddos. You know what I mean? Like his son is close in age with my son and like he's showing me his teenage daughter and his middle child. And we're like talking about all this stuff, talking about like what his wife does for a living and what my husband does. I mean, we're like just having full on conversations about our family. It's like we speak a different language and we look different, but the core of us is the same. You know what I mean? So I love connecting with people. Okay. The fourth way to gain a fresh perspective is to consider your blind spots. Okay, so let's define terms. A blind spot is an area where a person's view is obstructed, right? So think about that in terms of driving a vehicle. So when someone is in your blind spot, you don't know they're there. You can't see what kind of vehicle it is. You don't know what color it is, the type. The coast appears to be clear, but you have no clue that there's an entire vehicle adjacent to you, right? And if you make the wrong move, there's an accident. This is how blind spots work. You don't know what you don't know. Now, let me break that down even further. There are 3 areas of knowing. So the first area takes up about 5% of your belief system, and that is the knowing what you know area. Okay, so that is you know how to drive a vehicle. Okay, you know that you know how to make spaghetti. You know that you know how to speak and understand English. You know that you know how to read a book. Okay, that's the 5% area of your belief system. And then the second area that takes up about 15% of your belief system is the knowing what you don't know area. Okay, so that is the you know that you don't know how to fly a plane. You know that you don't know how to make Thai curry like your favorite restaurant. You know that you don't know how to speak Arabic or some other foreign language. You know that you don't know how to professionally bind a book. Okay, those are the things that you don't know, right? And then there's a third area. And surprisingly, this is the part that takes up about 80% of your belief system. And that's the you don't know what you don't know area. That's the blind spots, right? That's the you don't know there's a car beside you. You don't know you're about to crash. That's the blind spot. And that takes up 80% of our belief system. That's the area where your limitations lie. That's where the things that you don't even consider reside. And that place is where the unknown breakdowns happen, like in your family, your relationships, your business, your way of thinking of yourself and others. And this is also the place where all of your breakthroughs come from, your aha moments, your, man, I had no idea I was thinking that way or doing things this way or repeating this horrible thing my mom or dad did to me. Okay, that's the same place that happens. Now, let me give you a real life example. Now, before I start, I have to give my disclaimer. I am not a relationship expert by any means. And my husband and I are constantly working to make our marriage better. However, I was contacted to do some life coaching and the topic turned towards this person's relationship. So I did some couples coaching and there was complete breakdown of communication within the both of them. And as we dug deeper and just really talked about what was happening, just no holds bar, talking about what was going on in the relationship, it came to light that both of them were repeating what was done to them. So one person in the relationship, they were very timid. They had been shut down by their parents at a young age, and they pretty much have been hiding their whole life, right? They've been shrinking their whole life. The minute someone is too aggressive, they just completely shut down because that was their experience as a child, and they were a more timid child, so they just completely just shut it down. The other person, their situation when they were as a kid is that their parents were very vulgar, very loud, rude, just to be quite frank. And so the way that the other person in the relationship communicates is very boisterous and bossy and demanding. And then you have the other person that's the complete opposite. So imagine those two dynamics. They're canceling each other out. So one of them, when they're communicating, the other one just shuts down. So if they're shut down there, what is really getting through to them? What kind of changes and transformation is really being made? Not much, right? Because here's the thing. If you're not intentional, you will repeat the exact thing you hated was done to you. Okay, I'm going to say that again. You will repeat the exact thing that you hated was done to you, even if you don't know you're doing it. And that is exactly what was at play, not only in their relationship, I've seen that in play in my relationship before and in others as well. In friendships too, like so many dynamics, you don't realize that you're repeating things. You don't even, it's a blind spot of yours. Like you don't know what you don't know. And when I was having this session with this couple and I started asking about childhood situations, and then I connected the two, they both were like, wow, I didn't even know what was at play here. I didn't know that because I was in this blind area, I had this blind spot, that I was repeating this behavior, not only repeating what was done to me, but also repeating how I reacted to what was done to me back when I was a child or a teenager or younger. And so being able to be honest and saying, okay, this is a blind spot of mine. I did not know I was in this blind spot, and I am here. Let me acknowledge it, even if it's uncomfortable. Because the worst thing you can do is get into denial about your blind spot because you don't think you're doing it. Sometimes it takes an outsider to say, okay, this is what I see. This is what's happening. Right? And sometimes we don't want to admit it. We don't want to wear it, right? Because if it was something that was done to us that we hated, that's not what we want to attach to our names as repeating, right? But if you're not intentional about it, and if you don't address those blind spots, it's automatic. It's built into you until you are aware enough and intentional enough at every level to attack it. Because just because you attacked it 5 years ago doesn't mean that it might not come back up again. And this is exactly what was happening in this situation with this couple. And they both were like, I really just had no idea that this was a blind spot of mine. Like, thank you for even connecting it. I never even thought to connect it. Like, wow. And because they decided to honor it, to look at it, and to make intentional changes, yeah, things aren't perfect, but now they're more aware of when they're operating in this repeated behavior, this repeated toxic behavior. Because when you reject it, you start to operate in denial. And when you're in denial, that is self-deception. And self-deception is the highest level of deception because you're frauding yourself. You're convincing yourself that what has been brought to your attention isn't true so that you can move on without doing the necessary work to change your belief system and actions. But once you do the work, this leads to an automatic fresh perspective as it relates to who you are, what you deeply believe, and even how you show up. So 4, consider your blind spots. All right. And 5, read. I also recently did an episode on the importance of reading and the 4 books that changed my perspective, which is episode 38. So feel free to go back and check that out. But one of the best ways to gain a new perspective is to insert new information. Your beliefs and optimism for possibilities only go as far as your knowledge. Reading is exposure. It exposes you to new things, new information, new ideas, things you've never thought of before. And depending on where you're from, there may be things that you had no idea exist. For example, I used to think that I didn't have a vision. I used to think the vision only belonged to the husband. I used to think a vision only belonged to the leaders I was following, to the mentors I had, to the coaches I had. I didn't think I had one. So imagine how I not picked up a book by my late mentor that told me, no, you have a vision. You are a leader. You have something to accomplish on this earth. You have people to impact. Imagine had I not picked up that book. I would have a very limited life, and you would not be listening to the sound of my voice right now. I would not be an entrepreneur. I would not have these big, audacious dreams that I am going to accomplish. I would be living a very muted and understated life, only believing that I am to be beneath someone else's vision for my whole life. My whole life. And I know people who still believe that. I'll also encourage you to read things that you don't necessarily agree with. Many times you don't agree with things because you don't have a full view of an opposing perspective. Even if the goal isn't to agree with a certain subject matter, perhaps it's just being educated on it. Maybe that's your goal. But either way, you're able to expand knowledge and gain a fresh perspective. So reading is super important to expanding and having a fresh perspective. And then the last one, number 6, is decluttering. Studies show that physically decluttering your space leads to more peace, creativity, reduced stress and anxiety, and increases self-esteem. When my house is cluttered, my mind feels cluttered. And I'll be very honest and transparent. Right now, my house is a mess. I know you're probably like, we don't care, but I'm telling you, like, my house is a mess right now. And it changes the energy in my home. Like, I cannot wait to get like several hours to just blast some music and just clean everything, organize things, declutter, throw things away. Like, I cannot wait, because the energy in my home is so different when it's dirty and it's cluttered and it's stuff everywhere versus when it's clean and it's clear. It makes a complete difference. My productivity goes through the roof when my house is clear, because everything is energy. So if everything is energy and you have a bunch of stuff cluttering the place, then there's like no place for like energy to freely flow in and out, right? So decluttering can change your whole entire life. And sometimes dedicating yourself to decluttering your entire house at one time can put you in overwhelm. It absolutely can, especially if you're not used to doing it on a regular basis. And I don't know about you, but I don't work well when I'm in overwhelm. So like I said, sometimes I like to have a few hours to just knock it all out, especially kind of how my life is set up. But sometimes I do like small decluttering. So start small. So maybe you're decluttering 10 minutes a day or 30 minutes a day, or just, putting things away where they belong or whatever it is. Just commit to doing it every day or every couple of days or, 2 times a week or whatever works for you, your life and your schedule. And on the days that you feel like you can do more, do so. But if not, don't overwork yourself. So remember that even the small actions move the needle to the finish line. So that is the last thing, decluttering, a way to gain a fresh perspective. So as a recap, the 6 ways are: number 1, gratitude. Number 2, rest. Number 3, travel. Number 4, consider your blind spots. I know I went on a tangent on that one. Number 5, read. And number 6, declutter. And since you stuck around to the end, I have a special surprise for you. At the end of 2020, after receiving several coaching requests, I decided to reopen my schedule to make space for individual coaching sessions. Now, sometimes you reach a point in life when you just need a boost of clarity, a fresh, unbiased perspective, and a guiding light through life's challenges. And so for a limited time, I'm offering these sessions at 50% off. However, I'm doing something super special just for those of you who made it to the end of this episode. And I'm offering an additional 10% off of one-on-one coaching. That is 60% off. 60% off. So visit www.imhe.com/coaching and enter the code perspective at checkout. Again, that's imhe.com/coaching and enter perspective. Now, I do want to let you know the 50% off will not last forever. In fact, it will be changing rather quickly. So if you would like to go ahead and get the maximum discount and you want to purchase now and just use your session, a couple months down the line, you are totally able to do that. But I want you to be able to get the maximum discount because that 50% will be going away soon. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and I hope that the information was helpful to you. Thank you so much for listening. Remember that I love you, I see you, and I want you to win. Chat with you next week. Bye for now. I know firsthand how challenging this personal development journey can be. It can feel lonely, confusing, overwhelming, and even difficult to know exactly where to start. That is why I created an amazing resource for you. Go to imhe.com to download a free audio training that discusses the top 2 things you should focus on as you begin or continue your journey to shifting your mindset. Yep, only 2 things. I like to keep it simple and actionable. Again, that's imhe.com. And also, if you enjoyed today's episode, I have a favor to ask of you. My goal is to get this podcast in front of as many women as possible. The things I discuss are the things I wish someone would have told me when I began this journey. So in order to do that, please take a few seconds to share this episode with a friend and leave a 5-star review. Don't forget to subscribe so you can get notified when I release new episodes. I love you, I see you, and I'm rooting for you. Bye for now.